This is the Power Element Podcast, episode 60. My name is Paul. I produce podcast. I'm a journeyman lineman by trade. Today we are back in studio for this episode with our special guest, Jon Irvine from Access Limited. Met Jon earlier this year at a conference. Thought what the Access Limited team is doing is pretty unique. That'd be a good opportunity to have him on the show. All right, speaking of the show, we'll get to that. But first, let me highlight a few of our promotional partners. First up, Milwaukee Tool. Since the company began in 1924, Milwaukee Tool has led the industry in developing innovative solutions that deliver increased productivity and unmatched durability for professional construction users. Head on over to MilwaukeeTool.com or on Instagram at Milwaukee Tool. Dragonware. Dragonware's Pro Dry Tech Elements and Super Fleece FR collections are fan favorites for a reason. Perfect for layering season. They'll keep you warm as the temperatures drop. And heads up, new Pro Dry Tech styles are coming this fall. Sign up for their newsletter at dragonware.com for updates. Once again, that's dragonware.com. High Voltage Industries. The biggest brand on Instagram showcasing all aspects of high voltage industry. These guys have been working for nearly 10 years on showing the world what we do and how the industry gets it done every day. Check out their Instagram page at highvoltage_industries, and they have some of the best merch in the game at highvoltageindustries.com. Use code PowerElement to get 10% off your order. Once again, that's PowerElement, 10% off at highvoltageindustries.com. All right, a few more promotional partners. Klein Tools, Working Athlete, Gelco, Co Eyewear. Use promo code PowerElement for 15% off at Co Eyewear, and Buckingham Manufacturing. All right, special thank you to Daniel Sanchez, son of journeyman lineman Easy Sanchez. Daniel provides us with all of our music. I'll put his info in the show notes. All right, special thank you to Lima Mama and High Voltage Commando. All right, last but not least, I want to thank the entire Sturgeon Electric California workforce. Without you, this podcast would not be possible. All right, let's get to the show. Power Element Podcast, episode 60. Jon Irvine. Enjoy the show. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. From Albert Einstein, this is the Power Element Podcast, live in studio. Special guest, Jon Irvine, Key Account Manager for Access Limited. Jon, how we doing, brother?
Good to be here.
Flew in, got in late last night, about 11 o'clock. But good travels. Good to be able to spend some time with my family on Labor Day and get to play with my daughter a little bit before we came out here. Oh, that's cool. Where'd you fly? Where's home for you?
I currently live in San Rafael, the North Bay area, right north of San Francisco. So it's only about a 45-minute flight.
That's cool. Where do you fly out of there? Is that
I don't fly out of SFO. It's a little bit more difficult to get to just by taking the city streets. So I usually try to fly out of Oakland.
I was going to say Oakland.
A lot easier to get in and out of for me.
I got you. You got any Labor Day traditions?
No, not really. Just usually like to barbecue with the family. But we didn't do that yesterday. But maybe next year.
Are you a grill master? What's going on?
I do. I like to grill. I have 2 grills. Recently bought one of those Blackstone flat top grills. Those are really nice to use.
Oh yeah,
really
man.
Enjoy it.
You can do breakfast on there, eggs, bacon.
Eggs, bacon. It's easy to clean. You don't have to use a lot of pots and pans. That's what I like about it. I did steaks the other night for the in-laws, and they turned out great. And everybody enjoyed it.
Ribeye or what?
New York strip.
New York strip, huh?
Yep.
That's a good cut. Where do you go, medium?
I do medium rare, but my wife and her mother like it a little more cooked, so had to leave it on there a little longer for them.
There you go. All right, so I'm going to the Irvine house, and I'm a guest. What are you cooking up, man?
I like to cook. I like steaks. I like chicken. I like to do a lot of asparagus on the grill too.
Ooh, man.
That comes out really good. We did corn the other day too. That came out great. But yeah, just the typical backyard barbecue. I like to do smash burgers on there.
Ooh,
those are really good.
Yeah, there you go.
Done that for a couple get-togethers. So yeah, those are really popular.
I've been on a Brussels sprouts kick. It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't like Brussels sprouts. They stink.
I could tell.
It's just not one of my favorites. I'm more of a green beans, asparagus type guy.
I got you. I'll have to. Maybe I could change your mind. I make a pretty good one, and I had people change their mind about Brussels sprouts once I gave them my little concoction. So
Yeah, I'm willing to try it.
for sure, man. All right, that's about it. We got a food podcast going here. So, all right, John, man. Give me a little intro. Who are you? What's going on? Maybe start from the beginning if you want.
Yeah, I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Shout out Texas. Huh?
Yeah, went to college in Lubbock at Texas Tech. Graduated with a civil engineering degree. From there, I started in the trade as a transmission line engineer for a large utility, for utility in the Panhandle. From becoming an engineer, I then went to the engineering contractor side. Worked for a couple companies there. That's what brought me to California. In 2019, we saw a large response to the wildfires in Northern California. I worked for a large EPC firm there. I was doing engineering at the time, but they didn't have a lot of project managers, and they sent a lot of their crews to California, and they utilized some of their engineers as project managers. From there, I went to the consulting side, ran a maintenance and construction program for a large utility for a few years, and then transitioned to the distribution pole replacement portfolio. Was a program manager for that for about a year, and then transitioned to the current role that I'm in now.
Man, you got a vast experience there, kind of spread out. What would you major in though in college?
I majored in civil engineering.
Oh, I got you.
And then following that, a year ago, I recently got my MBA in energy from the University of Oklahoma.
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
So you went from Texas Tech to a Sooner, huh?
Yeah. I'm still a Red Raider at heart, but
shout out. Was the goal when you got your civil engineering degree, did you know what you wanted to do? Was it always kind of, did you know you were going to get into the electrical industry? Or
I didn't. So at first I was a petroleum engineer, and then the market kind of tanked in 2008. So I decided I didn't want to go into or pursue a career where I couldn't find a job once I got out of college. My grandfather was a civil engineer, so I went that route.
Did you want to go that route because of him?
I kind of looked into it a little harder than the others because of that. Then I knew that I didn't always want to live in rural America, where many times as a young petroleum engineer, that's where you're going to have to live for a while. So I did go the civil route. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to pursue, whether that be roadways, electrical infrastructure. The way I got into it actually was through a job fair. And
you got into electrical. Go ahead.
Yeah. The way I got into it was at a job fair. The large utility was there, but they were the only ones there, from the industry. A lot of them were roadway construction contractors, things of that nature, wastewater treatment plants. And it kind of sparked an interest. I got to learn a little bit more about it after the job fair, and I knew I wanted to go the energy route, being that I was a petroleum engineer first, or pursuing the petroleum engineer route first. So it definitely sparked an interest, and I knew that's the way I wanted to go once I did a little more research after that. And that's how I acquired my first job.
Oh, that's good. Is there any hesitation? Do you wish you kind of would have went back to that petroleum route, or is there? No.
I'm glad the route I took. I love this industry. I love everything it's provided me. It's an up and coming, or now it's like a very popular industry. Maybe at one time, 10, 15 years ago, being working for a utility was almost like working for a government agency. But now it's a very popular industry. We see a lot of things changing, both in our workforce, politically. It's in the forefront of America right now.
Yeah, and you see that, and we'll get to what you provide, what you do, and what the capabilities are. But I think you see that trend just from, like you said, 10, 15 years ago, where we weren't talking about the electrical industry in the same tone or pace that we are now, where it's a trendsetter, where we're looking to advance technology and society with the capabilities of electricity, and you guys provide solutions for that too. So, but it shifted. It was more stable, maybe more just clock in, clock out, and now we're seeing engineers, electrical engineers, and possibly some civil engineers. I'm gonna stay behind my skis here on this, but we're seeing that call to serve and provide society's demands. So I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah. And to touch on that, there's a lot of innovation going on, especially we met at, a convention, and going to those can kind of open your eyes of what people are doing, how things are changing. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the industry that, maybe not have been thought about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, no. And I think to your point, we did meet at the IEEE a couple months ago in Anaheim. It was great to meet you guys in the team and get on the simulator and kind of screw that up, but that was cool. That was fun. But you're right, the whole industry is gearing up for this big wave of who knows what we're kind of leading into. It. There's a talk of the next 10 years and what that looks like just to meet that load demand. And every time you drive into SoCal, you see what it looks like, what that demand looks like. Bigger buildings, obviously big push of EVs. That's all load, and I think that's kind of where you guys provide your solution, but we'll get there. All right. Tangent. So what was your first role again? If you go back to that,
it was a transmission engineer. So it was designing new greenfield T-lines for the utility there. I think my first project was about a 15-mile new T-line, flat, not many obstacles. It was kind of just get your feet on the ground. And I did have a great mentor from the company, Parker Rozek. He was my manager / mentor for.
How old were you at that time?
I was 24 years old.
Were you embracing a mentor? Was he kind of?
I knew I needed one because there was a lot of new things, coming at me, and as a civil engineer, you don't learn, what's an insulator? What's this, what's that? How do all these things, fit together? So learning the verbiage of the industry, the different acronyms, being able to communicate that to construction and field workers, management, project controls people, was important, kind of learning the lingo to be able to sit in those meetings and, have a voice. And then, that kind of developed of, you kind of gain knowledge, gain confidence. And then you're able to, kind of give your opinion and with a lot more confidence and a lot more belief in what you know. So
did you think you'd be able to just stick to your specific strength, being a civil engineer, and just kind of the X's and O's and the numbers, and then maybe not have to be so in depth with that communication, the relationship piece with the field and those managers?
Yeah, I think going into your first role, you don't really know what to expect, right? You don't know if it's going to be fully technical or if you want to go that project management route one day, like what does that look like? What do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to take to get to that end goal if that's what I want it to be? So I knew I didn't want to be a transmission engineer forever.
Why not?
I'm not the type of guy that likes to sit behind a desk 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. And it just kind of got monotonous to me. I did like getting in the field, driving lines out with construction guys. One thing I did embrace too, especially as a new engineer, and I still do it to this day, is when you get out in the field, it's not everything from the computer translates to the field, right? So it might look one way on a computer, but is it constructible? Is what you're doing on the computer making it harder for the guys in the field? but asking their perspective of what can I change to make your job easier. So
You summed up the whole reason for this podcast was just that open line of communication, that better understanding. People, I think, and maybe myself and Raul, we don't do a good job of addressing that. That's what this is for, and to have better line of communication, better understanding of providers like yourself and the company you work for. But that's just it. We don't have a lot of representation of communication in this trade. And I think the better we communicate, the safer, more efficient we can become as an industry. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've seen that in as the jobs I've had over the years. I've seen that in pretty much every job I've had. Right, there's like a natural tension between the field guys in the office, whether that's project managers, whether that's engineers, but just breaking down that barrier, it's not very hard. To where there's an open line of communication, it becomes a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah, it does. It does. And like you said, if you're having a good relationship and a good line of communication with them, they're telling you of problems that you may not see, like you said, in front of your desk, 8 hours, you're not going to see those challenges. But you having that want to get out in the field and ask those questions, I think that opens that communication better and at least opens a door for better understanding communication too. So,
yep.
All right. So what happened after that? What happened after that role?
So after I then switched from the utility side to the engineering contractor side, went to work for a large kind of EPC construction firm that doing. We were working on a lot of switch replacements for a large utility in Northern California. And then following that, that's what brought me to California was becoming a project manager for some of those crews for a large utilities wildfire mitigation program.
What was that move like for work? I mean,
it was almost like a traveling. It was almost similar to a lineman, right? I was living out of hotels. I was traveling to. At first, I was traveling to different locations to determine, hey, can we get a bucket truck up here to fix it? What do we need to get up here? Is there an access route? Does the access road need to be improved? Kind of writing all those notes, giving it back to the office. And then following that, the crew started showing up. Then we started doing a lot more construction, and it's kind of evolved into what they have today, right? Which is a pretty robust mitigation program for maintenance and construction. And they've come a long way. They've added a lot of technology. We were first calling engineers on the phone, like, "Oh, is this the size pole that we need?" And kind of confirming it that way. But it's all digital now. Everything's logged through the computer. They've built that program to a point where I think people are starting to copy it and repeat it.
Do you think that's an aspect of the industry that's enhanced and has brought more value to the industry?
Yes, I do. I think technology is going to play a big factor in our move forward, right? Especially when we start going the carbon zero route, technology is going to play a big factor. So I think embracing technology wherever we can is going to progress the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot in the planning aspect, utilizing technology to obviously analyze and gather data.
Yep.
Sure.
And when you can, as a lineman, when you can pull a drawing up on your iPad out in the field, it's a lot better than, I left it in my truck, dog ate it.
Yeah.
Got to call the office.
Spilled the coffee on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Having the access to as much information, details, notes. And like you said, as that first person getting the job, you were the one to see if there's access or if there's a customer or there's going to be some environmental issues, you being able to annotate it and put it in the system, whatever system that company's running. And it only gives that crew, that foreman, better knowledge of the understanding of that job. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Where'd you go after that? Was that it? Or before you arrived at your journey now?
So yeah, I was running. I think we were running 10 crews at that time. So that was a lot of work, especially when you get to kind of what that situation was like, right? When when everybody knew, every lineman knew the state of California was the gold rush, right? Everybody wanted to come out here at that time. So you were getting people from all over the country. And when you're doing that as an IBW, you're getting unknown talent, right? So trying to figure out which talent to plug where. Are there guys that need, to be a little more developed? Do you have to put them on certain crews? So it was a juggling match a little bit, just the scheduling piece, getting it all together. So that was a heavy lift. I learned a lot about the construction operations side, but just as much about the leadership side as well.
Still kind of shape who you are today. That whole learning, because you're right. That's a big when you have a high demand of work and you need that workforce to be trained and developed into that meet that demand. That's a challenge.
Yeah, and what the ways they do it in Florida might not be the same ways they do it in California, or you have guys that come out here like, oh, why are we doing it hot and stuff like that. So there was a lot of differences that we had to collaborate to make the workforce that was needed to get the job done. So there was a lot of leadership skills learned at that point too.
Yeah, it came down to communication, and you're from a different part of the country, but here's how we do it this way. This is what the expectation is out here. I think that all kind of plays into just being better communicators too, and setting that expectation. So
for sure,
very cool, man. You've done a pretty good amount. It's been pretty broad, and the perspective's been pretty good for you.
Yeah, and then from that, I transitioned to being a consultant, worked for a consulting firm, still for that same utility, but more on the owner side. So I was managing the maintenance and construction program for the T-line. So it was still those same companies, those same electrical construction contractors working on those jobs, but my job was basically more of to make sure they had the engineering, the estimating, the permits, scheduling the clearances for that amount of work needed for each different electrical construction contractor. And then I did that for about 2.5 years, and then transitioned to the distribution pole replacement portfolio, and then now I'm in the job I have now.
What were some of those challenges in the consulting?
Kind of the same thing. So you're leading a group of people, and I don't necessarily work for the utility, but I'm the representative of the utility. So I need to make sure what's happening is in their best interest, but also while not stepping on anybody's toes. So it's the open line of communication. It's the trust. It's kind of being upfront with people, telling them, these are the expectations. This is what we expect. And having that open line of communication, it goes a long way. It builds trust between the utility and the electrical construction contractors working on their behalf. And I think, truth telling goes a long way. So,
yeah, that's good. Did you learn that the hard way, or were you able to kind of maybe your mentor taught you that?
Yeah, I learned, having those difficult conversations up front will provide for a better outcome. If you kind of wait on those, you're putting it off. So that's kind of one big thing I learned from that.
And that's a big ask too. I mean, because of the decision that you're consulting with or you're making or managing, it's going to have, they call it the whip effect, where it's going to affect a lot of people's lives down that chain of command, and talking about livelihoods and
Sure.
growth of the individual. So it's that's pretty tough too. So go ahead.
Difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, it is. I always feel like I always take one step back, or excuse me, one step ahead and then one step back. Just from lessons learned. So it's I admire people who have that vision and that default of taking a step back and having those tough conversations right out the gate, or maybe addressing those issues. So I think it comes with time and maturity. So it's definitely something I try to practice every day, personally and professionally too. So, all right, man, let's get to Access Limited. How'd you come across your role and then I kind of want to get into your role being a key account manager. I mean, you went from engineering to consulting, and now you're kind of the middleman, the sales to the got the good polo on, nice.
Yeah, so Access Limited, I didn't know anything about Access Limited or GSI. I didn't know anything about rockfall or soil stabilization solutions.
Can you state what GSI stands for, please?
Geostabilization International. So that's our parent company.
Right.
So I was contacted by a recruiter and kind of looked into the company a little more. Was very interested at the business development side because I knew that's what I wanted to do at the time. So I dove into it a little more, kind of saw what they were doing, and then kind of got attracted by some certain pieces of equipment that we'll talk later that I thought could be a game changer in this industry and help this industry as a whole. So
what do you think? What talents attracted them to you? What do you think? What do they like about you? They headhunted you for.
Yeah. So my specific role for them right now is I focus on the power and utility side, and I think my background in the power and utility sector, like we discussed, being in a lot of those different roles, developing a lot of relationships, not only with utilities but construction contractors, kind of made me a decent candidate for this open position.
Decent, humble.
So I think that's what kind of brought us both together. But yeah, so we.
Go ahead. Who is Access Limited? There you go.
Sorry,
No
Access Limited. So we are the leading rockfall and geohazard mitigation specialist. We also have some equipment that we are very proud of that we think that will help this industry and these electrical construction contractors get work done faster, safer, and more effectively.
Do you guys just serve the electrical industry?
No. So we do commercial work. We do communication work. We serve railways, waterways, oil and gas pipelines. So we do a lot of different work. Power and utilities is one of our pieces of our portfolio.
What kind of problems do you guys solve on a daily basis for some of your clients and customers?
Yeah. So right now, we have 2 ongoing jobs in Colorado where we are installing some rockfall barriers at a generation facility for the public utility there. We recently completed a job in Idaho for a utility where we stabilized the soil around an existing substation. And also we do the spider excavation, which is excavation of pole holes, setting culverts, setting anchors, setting structures, backfilling, vegetation management around these locations, and getting all that done without having the use of helicopters or hand digging holes in these remote, difficult access locations.
What kind of customers or companies are reaching out to you guys?
A lot of them are electrical construction contractors, and we recently completed 2 jobs with a large utility here in Southern California. So we basically serve the electrical construction contractors and the utilities as well. And then, on the other side, it's the states, the federal government, just regular citizens who have erosion problems that might live on the side of a hill or a cliff. So we have a wide range of clients that reach out to our company. Do
they typically call you when they've exhausted all their means and now they need an extra resource, or is it typically what are those common questions look like?
Yeah, so I think on the power side, when they have identified that they might have some steep slope excavation needs, prior to the project beginning, or we recently got called to a fire here in Southern California, so that's kind of our emergency response. We had 2 operators on site within 24 hours. So
with the spider?
with the spiders, 2 spiders on site. So we pride ourselves in being able to respond to our clients' most difficult tasks.
Yeah, that's pretty. I know SoCal gets that beach flip flop board short stereotype, but there's some unique challenges within our geography, I guess, our terrain.
Yeah.
You know, you at the beach, you got some older suburban type areas that have some challenges, easement challenges and load challenges. But then you got mountain terrain and some desert all mixed in there, and some very unique terrain that just makes them pretty good challenges.
Yeah, I mean, even right outside of here, San Bernardino Mountains, San Gabriel Mountains,
National Forest.
We also recently did a project in Northern California. It was in urban area, but we had to scale a small wall that was on the customer's property. There's no other way to get a bucket truck or anything back there. It was semi-remote, but large property. But yeah, we got the spider in the backyard and set the structure.
Dude, I'm just laughing because it's like they're not calling you when it's like a perfectly level, flat. It's like, oh shit, we need access limited. Like we need some help. Like it's never a
Yeah. We are definitely called in some of the most oh dang, what do we do now type of situations. Or I get a lot of questions. Can you fly the spider in here too? Yeah, we can. It just depends. But yeah, it is the kind of the oh crap. What do we do now?
You guys might have
Who do we call next?
Free ticket to the moon with Elon Musk there. All right, let's go back to highlighting the spider excavator. I think you guys offer a lot, and we can definitely touch on those. But I think the spider excavator is kind of like the little kid's dream of having a little toy of it, or I mean, just there's a lot of lure in always seeing that kind of machinery and the capabilities of it. So if you can just kind of talk about what that spider excavator is.
Yeah, so the spider excavator is kind of what it sounds like. It has a lot of different attachments. It has a masticator, which can clear vegetation. It's got the digging buckets. It's got the rock hammer to get through the rock. It's got multiple attachments. We've also created specific attachments for certain type of jobs where that's needed too. But it has 4 independent legs. So you drove it, the simulator. At the conference.
I sucked at it.
It's pretty tough. I'm no better than you. But we've used it in pretty dynamic environments. Here in Southern California, we did a large job where masticating and getting the holes dug and setting the culverts was needed. So it was kind of an all around big job for us. Sometimes we don't use the masticator. It's only grass. Do a lot of rock hole drilling in some of these certain locations. So yeah, it's a unique tool that can get to very difficult access areas. A lot of our equipment has winches on it too for safety purposes. So we're prepared to fail safely if that's we never want to, but if that's the outcome. We are prepared to do that as well. So it increases safety, increases efficiency. We like to say it's greener. We have biodegradable fuel, oils, greases. So it's a lot cleaner than the alternative, which would be diesel fuel from a helicopter. So
it's cool, man. It's unique. And you mentioned it could be helicoptered in, or it's going to crawl in or traverse in to the location.
Yeah. So we don't need access roads to be built in. We can kind of clear our own way. Working with the environmental consultants on a lot of these jobs, they will, determine the route that we need to take, and then we can traverse those areas as required. So that helps accelerate environmental permitting. It helps accelerate efficiency of the project. You don't need a veg crew to get in there prior to the line truck getting in there, prior to the access road being built. So it has a lot of advantages there as well.
That's cool, man. What do you guys one of largest providers of fleet, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so Access Limited does have the largest fleet of spider excavators in the country. A lot of our competitors are small shop, single operators with one single machine. So a lot of these bigger jobs do require multiple operators to be on site just to improve that efficiency for the line crews that are coming behind us. So that's one advantage that we provide the market or provide the industry is that we do have multiple operators that are highly skilled, are highly trained.
What kind of training are they going through?
So we do have a training facility in Reno, Nevada, at a rock quarry where our operators are usually trained for 2 years or more.
So it's not, you can't just go from a regular skid or regular backhoe and make that transition?
No, and we saw that at the IEEE conference. We had a lot of operators show up and try to drive the spider and roll it over on the simulator. So that was pretty funny in certain aspects. So yeah, you can't just throw a groundman in there and expect him to drive it, or an operator that has worked a regular excavator. These are highly skilled, this is a craft labor, or like I like to call it, craft labor individual who has perfected this talent with this machine. It's not something that you and I can get into and operate. Or
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Dang. And what do you need to man? You got a spot or two? I mean, what's it look like? That crew look like?
Yeah, so
I know it's gonna.
We've done it depending on the project,
Sure.
depending on the complexity of the project, depending on do we need to switch attachments out. But usually we have every operator, we have a groundman on hand, a rockfall technician to help with those tasks in the field. So they're helping change out the attachments, helping locate where the anchors are going, things like that.
What was your first in live person experience like? Were you just kind of blown away seeing it in live action? Or just kind of.
Yeah, so I took a helicopter from the laydown yard back to where they had driven the spider excavator. It was around here in San Bernardino.
Shout out.
And I was amazed at not only the terrain that it was traversing. I was amazed at how efficient it was at masticating the brush to where it wasn't killing. It wasn't killing the plants. It wasn't killing the trees. It was just basically cutting them down so that it could go over them to get to where it needed to go. So it was pretty amazing at the efficiency that it could do that as well, because it is forestry equipment. It's what it's used for back in Europe where it's made. So it is a diverse machine.
Wwow. Did you when you saw it in line, where you're like, okay, I chose the right company to work for? This is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I thought I saw. I'd never seen it before. I'm not saying that I have I do have a career where I've done a lot of things, but I had never seen a spider excavator before. I'd never heard of a spider excavator before. And once I saw it in action, I was like, man, this could be a game changer, just because of the rate at which, if we're going to achieve these, carbon neutral goals that we've set out to do, we're going to have to build things with a lot more efficiency, a lot more precision. You're going to see clearances shrink, right? You're going to see things like that. So strategically building, this new capacity is going to take innovative technology and innovative tools to do. And when you have something like that, that's a lot more efficient than putting a guy in the ground with a shovel or the spoons.
Spade.
Yeah.
Spade's fun.
Yeah, using a machine is a lot more efficient than having someone on the ground.
And I think we're seeing a new demand too, just kind of for the expertise you guys specialize in, is poles are getting larger in diameter, wind loading, wires getting larger diameter, heavier, and so you're gonna need more structures in there. So you're gonna be asked to set a pole in maybe not so favorable conditions where the terrain is going to be in a valley or directly on a hillside, and I think we're seeing a lot of the good right of ways taken away.
Yep.
And so we're going to have to navigate some interesting terrain. Is that kind of a trend you're seeing too?
Yeah, and when you start, talking about taking renewable load from remote areas,
Solar
solar farms, wind farms, things like that, back to urban areas, you're going to have to utilize some right of way that, might not be favorable to a line truck or traditional equipment. That is going to have to utilize, maybe not a spider excavator. Maybe it's, maybe you're still utilizing helicopters, but you're going to need more of them. You're going to need. I just don't think that there's one specific tool that's, the answer for everything. So I think there's a realm in which we fit. And I think utilizing the spider is a good route, good efficient route.
I agree, man. It's pretty cool too. And especially when you see our terrain here in these mountains, there's definitely some challenges. Speaking of those challenges, I guess you mentioned some of those advantages rather than just having helicopter 2-man crew, digging crew in there with compressor and slapsticks and roto hammer. Are there any advantages aside from that?
Yeah, I think a lot of projects we've done where we've been called ahead of time and kind of utilized by the electrical construction contractor, they can then kind of report that back to this is how we plan on building it, which can increase or make more efficient that the ways that they can acquire permits. They can also say, we don't need to build access roads here, so we don't need permitting for that. We can use this to clear the veg, so we don't need environmental permits for that. So there are advantages on that side of the house as well, rather than just the efficiency of the machine itself.
I got you.
And when you're going through national forest and very protected areas like this, that can be a game changer of when you can get to work or if you can get to work or not.
Yeah, where it's breeding season with a bird or a burrowing squirrel or something, it's...
And that has to line up with, okay, like we talked about, increase in demand. Okay, we can't take this line out in the summer. So if the bird's breeding in the fall and you can't take it out in the summer, you have a certain window where you can do this type of work, and you're gonna have to find an efficient way to do it.
Yeah, that's challenging, and that's very common in the industry to have those type of challenges and barriers set up against managers and planners and everything. So, I guess from a workforce standpoint, you could say, well, you're taking those guys off the hand tools, you're taking their work for them. What do you say? What do you say to that?
I would say, did those guys get into this industry to dig holes? I think their time might be better utilized at learning the trade a little bit more. I don't think we're necessarily taking jobs away. I think when we do talk about building this capacity out, we only have a finite resources to do so, and it might. Just like any other year, it might be slower one year and pick up the next, and then it'll be booming for a few years and then it'll slow down. It does have those cycles. So I think right now it kind of highlights it because the industry is a little slower than, what it's been the past few years. But I think those guys that are in the holes are going to need, we're going to need those guys in the air, climbing poles, stringing wire, being linemen, not hole diggers.
Gotcha. And I guess to your point too, in the whatever territory you have, it's either union, the workforce is union or non-union, right?
Yeah. So Access Limited and GSI is split up, basically union, non-union. So the GSI portion of the house deals with the non-union work, and Access Limited deals with the IBW work.
Gotcha. Is there any other trends you see? I mean, maybe just, I think we talked about the demands, and then you're seeing these renewables or you're seeing these generation stations, maybe offset from communities anymore. So that's why we're kind of having to traverse some of these different terrains. Is there any other trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, another kind of side of the house that we serve too is the battery energy storage systems. So you see a lot of these being built next to substations or also in rural communities that do take the load and store it. We do a lot of foundation work for that. So H piles, helical piles, installing those for the battery pack itself to sit on top of. So we do that work as well.
These large platforms?
Yeah. So the large, basically it looks like a storage container.
Uh-huh.
It has the batteries inside of it that then sit on those helical piles and they're attached that way.
I've seen these, man. I've seen these batteries. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, they're big. And that's kind of some of the technology we see at some of these these conventions, is the different ways these batteries are working. If it's, ancillary, or if it's, they're storing the energy over long periods of time. I've also seen, we've seen the microgrids created by some of these utilities, where it's a standalone power pack in a remote area, so they can remove the risk of having, distribution lines out miles and miles and miles to mitigate risk for fires there as well. So we are seeing these used in different capacities throughout the industry.
Dude, the challenge is like the engineers coming up with this kind of stuff, dude. It blows their mind. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, and it's funny because people hadn't done it prior to the innovation that we're seeing now. This hasn't been a common thing that you saw throughout our industry, and the engineers and the people behind the technology to have the trust that this is going to power somebody's house for 20, 30, 40 years before we have to replace it or come up with something else. It's a lot of confidence in what they're doing. So kudos to them.
Yeah, that's dope. Speaking about you guys being national wide, and are you around the globe too? Can you go global?
We are in all 50 states, Canada, and New Zealand.
All right, New Zealand. You guys did share a unique, crazy pedestrian walkway on your LinkedIn in Alaska. Did you see that?
I did. I didn't have any hand in that project. Those pictures are pretty gnarly.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like when they call you, it's not like, hey, John, we got this nice flat surface.
Yeah. The pictures of that were pretty incredible. The operators, you can kind of see the type of terrain that they can traverse with those machines. And if you look at that picture on our LinkedIn website, there's a post that kind of highlights the different places that we can get to. And that's a good one that shows the capabilities of that machine.
Yeah, I actually wrote down the LinkedIn post here. I'll read it real quick. Once again, this can be found on Access Limited's LinkedIn. It says, we took the challenge of installing 2 pedestrian walkway bridges in the rugged terrain of Alaska. The foundations were situated on steep, weathered rock with severe access limitations, requiring innovative approaches to overcome these obstacles. The site's large fractures and unpredictable weather conditions made it even more challenging. Yeah, man, in Alaska, you have to check the photos. They're great. Let's see, anchored systems up to 40 feet deep, all while navigating harsh terrain and ensuring stability. The success of the project showcases our ability to deliver geotechnical solutions in the most challenging environments, even when access is limited. No pun intended there.
Yeah, and I think another capability that I kind of want to highlight. So, we do talk about, the building of the new infrastructure that, we need for, the new capacity, the new load demand. We also have to, maintain the existing infrastructure as well. So we do offer a lot of solutions around foundation underpinning, which is, we can stabilize an existing foundation where maybe the land has eroded or, the soil has eroded around a single foundation. So you can see a lot of those pictures on our LinkedIn as well. So, but yeah, that is a big resource available because just like I said, the new capacities, keeping our old infrastructure is just as important as building the new. Absolutely.
And that's the challenge too, is to continue the demand of society's needs and facilitate that growth, but also be thinking in the future. And I think that's why these conferences are so cool, to at attend, and I love hearing these innovators and these leaders talk, and just to see what their mindset is at. And if you listen enough, excuse me, if you listen enough, they give a lot of clues and a lot of hints in these speeches. And if you go to the expo floor, you can see what they're talking about in real life, and it all kind of just. I take tons of notes and I get back and reflect, and you're like, okay, here's what they're saying. Here's gonna be the trends, and you can. They leave breadcrumbs of what's coming and stuff, so it's pretty unique too. So, speaking of which, do you think there's even more room to grow or become more efficient and safer? What you guys do?
Yeah, or talking about from what we do as personally.
Correct.
I think, there's ways that we can grow. I think where we're most efficient is when we have a drawn out plan with, the company that we're serving, whether that be the utility or the construction contractor. When we have a drawn out plan, a set plan, it becomes a lot more efficient than when, you just get out, you show up to the site and that contractor might not have a specific, area for you to go to first, or they don't know what first, second, or third looks like. So doing so ahead of time makes us a lot more efficient, helps our operators, helps our boots on the ground a lot more. So we have seen that.
Perfect. I'll stay right there then. What are some of those we must communicate and address conversations that need to happen prior to you guys taking your expertise there, or getting the spider out there?
Yeah, it's kind of the expectations of how fast you need this stuff done. So that kind of gives us an idea of how many operators that we need on the ground, how fast your guys are going to be coming behind us, how we can work together on in certain areas. So yeah, just communicating kind of schedules, durations, sequencing is very vital in helping us be more effective.
Sometimes you could probably get pressed too, where you were that second phone call. Maybe they had tried another resource, and then they're seeing their window close, and then they call you, and you're pressed up for like a month to get the job done, right? I mean, I'm sure that happens often.
Yeah, we have seen instances like that where we're kind of put in tough spots. But yeah, we usually try to help. We usually try to adapt and perform as best as we can in those certain situations. We've also seen times where they basically thought we were surveyors too, so they were expecting our operators to calculate the grade of how deep the hole was supposed to be. So yeah, we've seen a lot of different things from a field perspective. So like I said, just having a clear line of communication, a clear line of sequencing, a clear line of schedules, a clear line of what's supposed to be done at each location helps a project become more efficient.
How do they know? How should you approach them to make sure that you're the first call? That as soon as there's a challenging project, how do they know they're going to need your services?
It's a lot easier with the companies that have used this before.
Sure.
So a lot of the guys that use this before are repeat customers, which is it says a lot for our operators, says a lot for our field guys. It's a lot easier for me as a business development manager to go to somebody that we've already worked with. But I think I've tried my best to communicate the different challenges that you might see as an electrical construction contractor, and the different services that we provide and how we can help you. I think sometimes it's just trust, right? And right now, as the industry has been a little tighter on new construction, people want to keep their guys at work, and that's good. We don't have anything against that. We're just another resource that you can utilize if needed.
Is there often times where you are going to a job and you're working, and you since you're in these remote areas, in this really unmanned areas, is there ever the time where you guys see more unforeseen problems coming up? Maybe it's the digging wasn't as expected.
Yes, plenty of times. So, we try to do our due diligence. We do have like geologists on staff that try to determine, what is the soil conditions there if we don't receive a geotechnical report. A lot of times, now we're not receiving, full geotechnical reports. Geotechnical reports give us a better idea on like production rates. So yeah, when we do go to these areas, we're taking on more risk, and we're having to, deploy rock hammers. Do we need it or not? We don't know. But you might as well have it on site just in case you do, right? So yeah, and when you get in, to the steep terrain and you need a rock hammer, you rather have it than have to go back and get it. So we do see elements, different activities, different environmental activities that may halt us or stop us for a second. But there are different things that happen in the field that where we do see unforeseen conditions that are not favorable to the project.
The easy jobs aren't being put on John's desk. Once a customer sees a spider in action, what's their typical reaction like? Are they proud of the investment? Do they see the investment kind of return?
A lot of times their phones come out of their pockets and they just start recording. I had that project that we did in the backyard. I think we had probably 15 people filming it. So good thing we did it the right way, and everything happened as we expected. The machine didn't break down or anything. But a lot of people are very impressed when you get around one. And especially when you get around our operators, they're very talented individuals that do their craft well, and they take pride in their craft. So they do take pride in getting in and out clean, leaving that right away as clean as possible, where they're not making ruts and things like that. So
yeah, like you said, there's a disturbance obviously to the vegetation, but it's done in a way that's going to grow again and not be so disturbed, I guess.
Yeah, and we've consulted with environmental consultants to go back after some projects to take a look at what did it look like before, and now where's that vegetation at now a year later. So
gotcha. All right, John, you're typically tasked with coming in, saving the day, being the hero as the business development key account manager. But what are some of those things that you personally try to convey to the customer?
Personally, I try to. I think my biggest thing is safety. I think the safety component that we provide is far better than anything else that we can provide, whether that be efficiency or cost effectiveness or greener. The safety portion is the biggest, because I have seen incidents in this line of work where maybe somebody's used the wrong piece of equipment and it's caused a fatality. So I think the safety portion is what I try to convey the most.
That's good, man. That's a good point too. There's a lot of, obviously we talked about the hazards and just that that terrain's a hazard within itself, and it starts to unravel these other new hazards. So that safety concern's a big aspect in there.
Yeah, and when you have guys that do this every day for their living, they're a lot more, that is their craft, rather than putting somebody in an uncomfortable position to try to perform a task that might be a little bit over their head. So I think taking that into perspective as somebody that's building new infrastructure, let's put the professional out there that does this every single day, rather than the guy that does this maybe once a month.
Absolutely. Do you see us as an industry, as a trade, getting better at identifying these unforeseen hazards in the tailboard? And then when customers call you, are they seeing a lot more of these hazards that could be presented?
I think so. I think ahead of time, when they're first going out to bid these projects, I think we're seeing a lot. Excuse me. Yep. We're seeing a lot more calls ahead of time rather than last minute. So I think people are starting to think about different ways to utilize different equipment, different ways to build certain projects. It's not always, it doesn't always have to be the way we've always done it. There are different ways. There are places we fit in. There are places we don't fit in. So I think people are identifying hazards ahead of time, maybe to where they weren't 10 years ago. It was kind of just let's cowboy up and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. How does Access Limited create separation from the competition?
I think where we create our most separation is by the skilled operators that we have. These guys, like I mentioned, they go through pretty dynamic training, pretty long training, thorough training. to where they are skilled and they have developed this craft. And I think that's where we stand out the best or the most. And then obviously, having a large fleet does help us, with regards to our competition that might not have as many.
Do you guys typically kind of integrate yourself into the crew's customers' tailboard, daily tailboard job briefing, or you kind of hold a separate one too? Or
No, our guys are usually part of the tailboard. We usually kind of, the line portion is kind of one thing, and then what we're going to do is another. But yeah, we do communicate, what we're going to do that day, the ways that we're going to do it, the ways that we expect to do it. So yeah, we're right there, right involved with everything.
That's cool, man. Well, John, you got anything more Access Limited related we didn't cover? You want to talk about, highlight? I got a few more things, but it's off topic.
I don't have anything in particular. Well, let's hear
You
your
good?
questions.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. All right, we're going to shift. Thanks, John, for sharing that Access Limited stuff. That's good stuff, man. I would take a pause with Buddhist Paul, one of my favorite segments. Start winding things down here. John, you mentioned it was Labor Day yesterday. If you didn't see it, Joey Chestnut ate 83 hot dogs. He beat his record of 76 in 2021. They had 10 minutes to eat 83 hot dogs. Are you impressed by this or not?
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, that's disgusting, right?
I did. So when I lived in Amarillo, Texas, working for the utility, I did see a lady that competes on the lady side of these events. And in Amarillo, Texas, they have a restaurant called the Big Texan. It's a 72-ounce steak, and then you have to eat all the portions. And if you eat it, it's free. Well, they, had this lady on live stream, and she's a professional eater. She ate 2 of them in the allotted time. So.
Wait, so that's 144 something like
with the sides and everything else. So it was pretty incredible.
You can live stream this.
Yeah, and she wasn't eating it with a fork and knife. It was
Caveman.
kind of just picked it up by the bone and was just going at it.
What is this place called, kid?
It's called the Big Texan off of I-40 in Amarillo, Texas.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and she wasn't a big lady at all. I was astonished by how much she could put down within a certain amount of time.
Did you watch?
I've seen big guys can't even eat half of it.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched every bit of it. Yeah, I was amazed.
You can just tune in, live stream, watch this.
I think they only had that one for her
Oh.
because she was a professional eater, and she kind of did it in front of an audience. But she ate 2 of them.
Dude, even with Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi, they dunk it in water and dude.
Hot dog flavored water.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, man, this stuff is out of control. This poor guy, professional eaters. I mean, hey, man, if you're professional at anything, then good for you. But that is just awkward. Every Labor Day, we always see Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut going after it.
Yeah.
How many do you think you can eat? 10 minutes.
10.
Yeah, one a minute. It's kind of easy to go down.
Yeah.
You a turkey dog guy?
No.
Do you ever do mayonnaise?
I have done mayonnaise. Yeah.
Mayonnaise. You mustard on the dog? Build your hot dog.
I usually just go ketchup, mustard. I do like a Chicago dog, but if I'm at home, I'm usually just ketchup, mustard, and relish. And
What's on a Chicago
onions.
dog?
They have the tomatoes on there.
Tomatoes.
No ketchup. I went to Chicago once and asked for a hot dog with ketchup, and the lady was like, "No, I'm not giving it to you."
You're not from here.
Yeah, you're not eating the Chicago dog with ketchup. So, yeah, it has the relish, the tomatoes, a pickle, has a pickle slice on there.
Huh.
It's interesting, but it has a unique flavor, but it's good. I like it.
About brats. You a brat guy?
I do like brats. Yep. These are some of my favorite foods.
Really?
Yeah. I love hot dogs and brats. It's not a very good healthy diet, but yeah, these are some of my favorites.
Don't YouTube how a hot dog's made.
Yeah, I probably won't eat them anymore.
Yeah. All right, last one. Here we go. If you haven't seen, I went to the movies yesterday, and they did show Beetlejuice 2 and Gladiator 2 coming out. You want to see one of those? What do you got?
I saw the.
I know you got kids.
Yeah, I
You
saw.
might watch Transformers.
Yeah, I get to watch Bluey right now.
Oh, is that the one the dogs can see too?
Yeah, it's the two Australian shepherds. Yeah, I know the theme music. It's gotten that bad, but yeah. I saw the Beetlejuice trailer the other day, and that one looks pretty cool. I hadn't seen the Gladiator trailer yet, but yeah, maybe Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice 1 was pretty good. Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like you look back now, it's like, wow, man, that was not a lot of technology, just some special effects and costumes and stuff, but like that was really cool, man, really unique.
Yeah. These movies have come a long way.
Yeah.
It's incredible to what they can do now. The different graphics that they can come up with, automation and stuff like that. I think they're only going to get better too. So, yeah, I think Beetlejuice would be probably my pick there.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, to your point, I didn't see the Gladiator 2 preview, but it did look pretty cool from the little clip I saw. But anyways, but back to Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton's still Beetlejuice, and Winona Ryder's in there. She looks the same. Like these people are crazy. This is awesome. So,
yeah,
it brings back my childhood. I'm 40, so it brings back a lot of memories.
Pretty amazing how these actors don't age. They don't look like they age too much. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Cool, man. That's a wrap, man. You did great. What do you think?
I loved it. First podcast. Was a little nervous.
First of many?
Yeah, first of many, hopefully.
Where can people find you, man?
People can find me on LinkedIn. You can find us at accesslimited.com, geostabilization.com. You can reach out to our office. Our numbers are on there. But yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Just go ahead and shoot me a message if you have any questions.
That's kind of how we start talking too.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's good. If anyone wanted to watch some spider excavator videos, is it on there?
I don't think we have videos, but I have videos. So if you hit me up directly, I can get you some videos.
The good stuff?
I got you the good stuff.
John, appreciate it, man. We'll see you next week at Anaheim.
Yeah, I appreciate the MYR group for having us, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, John. All right, guys. Thanks. Thank you, Access Limited. Thank you, Jon Irvine. Catch you on the next one.